expressing that, in the early days of ISKCON, we hear and understand that, there was a certain type of ecstasy, prasad during that time. For example, there was big feasts, 10, 11, 12, 13 preparations, deep fried in ghee, and like that, so many different areas, the way festivals were hosted during Prabhupada's time, and we have a different set of circumstances now in so many parts of the world. And the mentality, of course, we understand now well, I can't keep track of it anymore. There was Gen Z, and what's the new generation called? I think Gen Z is a little outdated now. So, how to reconcile time, place, circumstance with the new generation? I'm trying to understand from these devotees. If anybody has any thoughts and realizations on how to apply time, place, circumstance for us today. We don't change the essence, but at the same time, things that worked, for example, back in the day might, not be so effective these days. So how do we adjust without changing the essence? Or should we adjust? Should we just do everything these days like we did, in the old days? One or 2 points, and then we'll close there.
I am of the opinion,
yes, sir,
that changes should be few and far between.
Okay.
Changes made with extreme care, tremendous caution,
Right.
and under the direction of those who are qualified to actually make those changes.
Right.
Not that just anyone at all whimsically decides that I think that this is a better way to do this or that.
Right.
But the devotees in general should take direction from their spiritual master and accept his advice. We have a system of authority in place in ISKCON. We have temple presidents, we have GBCs, we have our spiritual masters. So rather than independently speculating on what to do and what not to do, the procedure is that we inquire of whomever may be our authority and take their guidance. So there's that. For those individuals who are in a position of authority, they have to take guidance from their authorities, whether physically present or not. We have the benefit of Srila Prabhupada's having left so much instruction in his books and letters and lectures and conversations. So one has to study those scrupulously to try to get a firm understanding of what is correct and what is appropriate and what to do under various circumstances. Sometimes things change, but the essential problems of life do not change. The nature of the living entity and the material nature does not change. There's so much that does not change. There are details, minor details that may change from time to time, and sometimes it's appropriate to make adjustments accordingly. So, for example, at one point in time, there were certain types of Sankirtan that were very effective for us, and then at some point or other, We burnt out various venues, and maybe legal action was taken to prevent us from doing those things. So we had to find other avenues. Sometimes some of our activities were very aggressive and would tend to turn off people to some extent. And we had to modify our behavior a little bit, becoming more gentle and friendly and considerate in our approach and less aggressive.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point,
so,
Dr. Prabhu. Just on that point, so I think if you ask the devotee, for example, on that point that, was very aggressive, it had worked for him for years in his aggressive approach. The airports, it had, it works. So how do you explain to that devotee or those devotees that, just going to the airports it may not be the best idea for us, given today's circumstances? Because they may argue with you till, the cows don't come home. That, it worked. Look at all the Sankirtan stories from around the world. Look at how many devotees we made during that era, of airport book distribution. If you are, ask those devotees, they will argue and argue and argue, and you try to reason with them and tell them, but maybe there's a better approach, maybe there's different other ways of doing it. They will not hear anything about it. So I think that's where the difficulty in terms of our communication comes in. And then we start questioning so many things on that basis. Are you following? Are you not following? And so many other things come into the play at that point in time, because it really worked. Some of those tactics really worked, but may not be the best for the movement as a whole today. So how to gently point those things out? Yeah, of course, I think the first principle is, as junior devotees, we don't approach these senior devotees and ask them or request them, please, consider these facts. We can ask their peers, people who are, they have friends with, to point these things out, so that we understand as younger devotees or second generation devotees that, we shouldn't be the ones raising these things. Any other pointers or advice on how to approach these things? Or should we just ignore them and pretend they don't exist and let that devotee go and do whatever he wants?
sometimes it may not be possible to influence a devotee who's set in rendering his service in a particular way if he feels that it has been effective in the past and it is still effective for him. How can you argue? Generally, the thing that you can do is to set an example. If you can demonstrate that something is more effective, um, that might get the attention of someone who is sincerely trying to be as effective as they can be. If you can show them that there's a better way, demonstrating practically the results, then that may have a powerful effect. Otherwise, devotees can be pretty stubborn sometimes, or maybe more generous to say determined. Um, they're very determined, and which is generally a good thing. But um, maybe sometimes in their enthusiasm and zeal, they may be adversely affecting things. And so, those kinds of problems usually need to be tackled by some higher authority. Um, it's something that, perhaps the GBC could address, or possibly a temple president, but for devotees in general to try to modify the behavior of someone who has been rendering a service in a particular way for perhaps most of their life, and particularly if they are juniors, they're going to have a hard time trying to get results. But the universally accepted process is that you try to set a superior example that speaks volumes. If you really have something that's better, then then let's see it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? Anything to share on that point? Thank you. I think you've made some very valuable points, Charaka Prabhu. Sometimes it, like you said, it may not also be possible, but best way would be to demonstrate by some superior example. That's what I'm taking away. Thank you, thank you. All right, Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Go Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol.